So you each have essential worth and dignity. Each of you. And this worth and this dignity is essential. It is part of your essence. And it is sacred because its source is nothing less than God, and our holy creator, the creator of the universe. And this means that no one, and nothing can take this away. There's no power on this earth that can take away your worth and your dignity. And this means that if someone or some power does do wrong by this essential worth and dignity, it's wrong. That's wrong. It should not happen. It should be prevented from happening. And it still does not have the power to take away that essential worth and dignity. No power can take away this essential worth and dignity. So this essential worth and dignity is the source of your rights. You are endowed by our Creator with certain rights that no power can take away. That's what unalienable means. No power can take it away. These rights are not given by human authorities, and no human power can take them away. They are endowed by our Creator. And our Creator is the creator of everyone. Therefore, everyone has the same essential worth and dignity and the same essential rights, with no distinction or discrimination. So what is true for you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and me, as special as I am, is just as true for everybody else. We each and all have the same essential rights, worth, and dignity, deriving from each of our sacred source, which is the sacred source of all life. We are each and all children of the living God. And in fact, it is true for me and for you because it is true for everyone. There is nothing special about any of us that gives us more rights or worth or dignity than anyone else. Nothing. And this is why Christian teachings and practices are at the same time both uplifting and humbling. God uplifts the lowly and humbles the proud, as Mary sang out in her Magnificat. And this can be true within the same person. God brings unconditional love to the parts of ourselves that feel ashamed. The lowly parts of ourselves are uplifted. And God brings correction to the parts of ourselves that are haughty and inflated. God humbles the proud parts of ourselves. And as I've shared before, and I just shared with the children, I love how this was put once by a gentleman who was staying at a winter warming shelter that we hosted at a previous church I served. And so this guy, who was one of our guests there, got a kick out of going around and proclaiming to everyone, "Remember, kids, you're special, just like everybody else." So when it comes to striving for a just society, it's this just like everybody else that is critically important. Because of human sinfulness, there is a strong tendency for people, for us, for anybody, to slip into double standards when to do to others what we would not tolerate being done to us, or turning a blind eye to other people's rights being violated as long as our rights are being respected. And if we say that these double standards are okay, and it happens, okay? It just happens because we're humans. But if we act like it's okay, then we're undercutting the very justification for our own rights, if you follow. So either our rights are universal and unalienable, or they can just disappear when someone in power wants them to. Our rights are endowed by our Creator. This is why it's such a powerful realization. They're not endowed by human powers, which then can take them away. So, for example, I have the right to not be arrested and detained by the authorities without valid charges and due process, which is a right I do have, I think, thank God. And everybody else, regardless of whether they have the same status that I have as a citizen, has these rights. And if those rights are violated, it should be very distressing to me for their sake, because as a Christian I should care about them, God help me, but also for my own sake, because I can't be sure that my rights won't be violated either. And this is why it's so important to be clear that human rights are derived from a source that is beyond human authority. Now, to secure our rights, we can organize societies ruled by just laws, and these just laws recognize and protect these rights, and they should, but they do not grant rights. God grants rights. This is the Christian view of human rights. This is the Christian argument for human rights, universal human rights. And at its best, Christian witness to the nature of God and the nature of humanity and God's love for humanity has been very important historically for the moral evolutions that have brought about the most enlightened understanding of human rights. And at its worst, folks proclaiming Christianity have done the opposite and have used our religion to justify the violation of people's essential rights and worth and dignity here and there, or have sought to block moral evolution in our understanding of human rights. And this struggle within Christianity, it's what's been happening in the past, and we inherit it to this day. This is a struggle we inherit from our ancestors of the faith, stretching back to the great Hebrew prophets and teachers who struggled against the injustice in their communities. And they said, "Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of those who are destitute." This is from the book of Proverbs. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor and needy. To pick one of many, 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 many examples. In the view of Christians who realize that God is still speaking, as we like to say in the United Church of Christ, moral evolution is possible. It's hard, but it's possible. It's always incomplete on this side of the realm of heaven on earth, but moral evolution is possible. Through God's sacred activity through history, we can come to realize that more people have more rights than perhaps earlier generations realized or cared to admit. So, for example, there have been Christians who then have joined the struggle for the right of everyone to be free from enslavement, so to say, which was not taken for granted. And there have been Christians who have joined the struggle for workers' rights and for equal rights of women and people of color and immigrants and LGBTQ folks, even when those views have been unpopular or even when other Christians don't agree with that. So to realize that everyone has essential worth and dignity is a very powerful realization that invites and challenges us to grow into the spirit that Christ has called us to. It invites us and challenges us to grow in our capacity to love. This is part of what it means to love each other. So as followers of Christ, we're called to receive that unconditional love for us and to share that love with others, to invite them to receive that love, and to try to love others with that unconditional love as well. And now we're flawed creatures in a fallen world. We can only do this incompletely. It's not easy. It's not comfortable. Because of human sin, we do have some pretty big blind spots. But love is our call. So with this love can come great joy, tremendous joy. And with this kind of love can come great pain. But the pain is sacred pain when we know that Christ shares the pain. With Christ, we can trust that that pain can bring resurrection. Okay, so this is what I mean. For each of us, if and when our essential worth and dignity is violated, that hurts, right? It's a terrible existential level pain. And this pain is a sacred pain because it signals to us the depth of the wrongness of what's going on. And it's at a source of our very souls, the source of our very souls, our Creator. And as Christians, we know that we don't bear this pain alone, but Christ carries it with us and for us and embraces us with the love that can remind us of that belovedness and lead us to renewed life. What this also means is that if we feel pain when someone else if their rights are being violated, if someone's harming their essential worth and dignity, if we commit the so-called dreaded sin of empathy, that pain is also sacred pain. Because it connects us with the great body of Christ, who, again, takes on all the agony of humanity's violent contradictions. So our pain on behalf of another person's pain is sacred. And you could say it's even maybe doubly sacred because it's the pain of the broken golden rule. So this morning, as I was drinking my coffee, I poked my nose into a book that used to belong to our dearly departed Reverend David Longerhans. And this is a book by the theologian Jürgen Moltmann. And I opened up to a page where Moltmann quotes a Christian thinker named Berdyaev, who said, "Unjust suffering is divine suffering." Unjust suffering is divine suffering. And unjust divine suffering brings about the expiation of all human suffering. And so if you feel that's kind of pain because of unjust suffering at times, let that pain be sanctified. Don't run away from it, even though it's uncomfortable. But also don't bear it alone. Share it with community. Share it with Christ. We have to let Christ embrace us and uplift us and humble us with the power of God's universal love, which endows and redeems everyone's essential worth and dignity. Now, with this love, there's not only pain, but also great joy. And this joy is sacred joy. For there's nothing more beautiful than saying yes to what is most alive and essential in each of us, from which we have this essential worth and dignity. And with open hearts, we can take joy in witnessing the beauty of others coming alive in good ways as well, as children of the living God. And that is truly the great hope that we can share for each of us and all of humanity. And that's a hope that's worth being guided by. And so for